Texarkana, Arkansas, or rescheduled meeting of the Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors to order. At this time, we'll have a roll call.
Assistant Mayor Hart.
Here.
Director Roberts.
Here.
Director Harris.
Here.
Director Hollibush.
Here.
Director Brewer.
Here.
Director Jewell.
Here.
Mayor Brown.
Here. At this time, we'll stand for our invocation, be directed by Director Laney Harris. Our pledge of allegiance today will be by our Fire Chief David Fletcher.
I always ask if anyone from the audience would like to come forward and do it, the prayer. I don't think I just heard you.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we give thanks for this day and all your many wonderful blessings. We're especially thankful for your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Dear Lord, we pray that you would watch over this meeting and that each and every one here, that they be heard and that the board will listen and understand and we will show compassion and concern. We pray that you would give each and every one a safe trip home. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. At this time, we'll move right on into our citizens' communication time. It actually is my privilege to introduce my counterpart from the Texas side. He's in our audience today, and he has a special presentation tonight. Mayor Bob Brueggemann.
Well, good evening, Mayor Brown, Board of Directors, City Attorney Potter, City Manager Richards. I'm Bob Brueggemann, Mayor of the City of Texarkana, Texas, and it is my privilege to be here this evening to present a special award to one of our directors. I serve as the chairman of the Texarkana Urban Transit District Board, which is comprised of members from our 4 cities in the area: City of Texarkana, Arkansas, Texarkana, Texas, Nash, and Wake Village. And representatives from the Texarkana, Arkansas side include Directors Harris, Directors Hollibush, and Director Hart. And people don't realize this, but one of the requirements to serve as a member from the Arkansas side is your last name has to begin with the letter H. So anyway, but Director Hart has served on our board from January of 2021 into currently. And so on behalf of the board, I just want to present a special plaque to Director Hart for his distinguished service to our board. And I'll just ask him to come down, and if we'll pose for a photo op, and just want to thank you for your service and anything else you'd like to share.
Well, I'd just say what an honor it's been to serve, and what an honor it's been to serve with you. You are a great leader, and you've been a good mentor to me, and what an asset you and Mayor Brown have been to the City of Texarkana, Arkansas. So it's just been an honor to serve.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your service.
I knew something had to be up, and he's all slicked up, you know.
I'll show y'all I can dress up when I need to.
Next is Michelle. Is it Kegley? Would you come forward?
Yes, you need my name, my address.
Just your name is
Okay,
fine.
it's Michelle Kegley.
Kegley. Okay. If you could just get just a little bit, or move the mic back there to you, get a little closer to it.
Okay,
All right.
how's that?
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, I am coming back with the information that I had before. I was up here about a month ago. We're trying to work on our streets in our area that we have had a bad problem with. The streets, Terry's been working on it. We have the grants. We have been able to get a tower and some other things done. That was probably the easy part of doing it. We did not realize that there was going to be an ordinance that we could not find in with the property tax. This is the first year I paid my property tax in the area because my grandparents, I inherited the land from my grandparents, and so I realized it was a 60% for the city and 40% for the county, and our roads look really bad. And anyways, to make a long story short, I was taken into the judge's office, and they said, "Do you understand what this is?" And I said, "No." I said, "I do not understand this." And they said, "It has been this way for a long time." I said, "Was it something that needs to be changed?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, it's something that probably needs to be changed." We started looking for the ordinance. We cannot find the ordinance. We had the Historical Society looking for it. I was taken to the vault where the Miller County Circuit Clerk, where all those books are, and shown it, and they said, "Okay, here you go." So I've got to find the ordinance because most of the people in this area have either passed away, moved, or they can't be found. So we're trying to find the ordinance so that we can straighten this out, so that we can straighten our property tax out, where we get the 40% and the 60% together, so we'll have the money to be able to work on our streets. I guess I spoke with my mother, and I have got to go with someone like my father or somebody else to see if we can find the ordinance at the title company or just somewhere. But I was told I needed to find some information, and whatever I could find, bring it back to you whenever I knew a little something about it. And this is about as much as I've been able to get.
Terry, can you enlighten me up with what we're talking about here?
This was the meeting before last, and I believe, Tyler, it was the 60-40 split on what the residents inside the city limits pay on street tax, but 60%, the county's getting 40% of that. And I have no idea why, and I think none of us have any idea why. The tax assessor has no idea why. But if you look at your taxes, the breakdown, which, we don't get much for streets anyway, but 40% of what the city residents are paying is going to the county. And I've talked to a couple of the JPs on the quorum court, and they are trying to figure out what's going on as well, because, that's a really good chunk of money.
But Terry, you do know that the county has jurisdiction, even though the city is 3/4 of population,
Correct.
the county does have jurisdiction.
Would that not probably be set by state law versus county
It's
or
not
city?
set by state law either.
The state is going to give the county the jurisdiction, and that's why they have their receipt of 40%, even though we're 3/4 of the population inside the city.
No, it wasn't done by the state. It was passed by the county and the city, and nobody can find any of the information on it. The state didn't give them permission to do any of that. That was done, the county judge will even tell you they don't know why. And, it wasn't done by the state.
Not that they gave them permission, but the 60-40.
It's not that way in Lafayette County, not that way in Hempstead County, and not that way in Union County.
And our
All right,
streets look
So
our
if
streets
three
are in bad
counties are that
shape.
way, that it's 100%, why are we not getting 100%?
Well, we would just need to just follow up.
That's
follow up
exactly
with-
right, because there's
Exactly.
something not right somewhere, and I don't know where it's at, but the city, if we're due 100%, I want 100%.
But just remember, we're 3/4 of the population. That's
Well, I
why the
understand
60 is
that.
ours and the 40 is theirs.
Well, our streets look worse than the county streets do.
Yes,
And-
Do
ma'am.
you pay county?
Yes, ma'am.
Do
And
you
it's
pay anything?
dangerous. We've got a lot of older people that live in this area.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
one lady passed away in April, and it's hard to get, urgency vehicles up in here in a hurry to them. So, and we've got school buses. We had a 3-foot hole just on our street.
Mm-hmm.
A boy fell off into the ditch. It was 5 or 6 foot deep.
But the county does
is
not
in
pay
bad
any
shape.
city tax.
Yes, ma'am, we do share your sentiment. Every board member on this, that's sitting here, we have the same problems in each ward. And so We're all in this together, and we all want a solution.
And another
continue
thing
to
that
investigate,
they
yeah.
said is the people that deliver the mail, the ones in Texarkana, said our streets were in such bad shape that they would not deliver the mail down there anymore if we did not get something done about it. That's how bad it is.
So Tyler, how can this be fixed? Can you do an ordinance, and will it have to go back before a vote for the citizens, or?
It all depends on the original ordinance. Once you locate that, whatever it is that the county and the city passed back whenever it was, I've got no idea, when it is.
Can't go back and find the ordinance.
Right, I agree, but it's a good chunk of money, especially since the road millage was increased for this year. I mean, before this year, we collected about $100,000 from the property taxes for streets. The county's portion of that was about 60,000, but since the road millage has increased, we're going to get somewhere around 600,000 and the county 400,000. So, yeah, that's a big chunk of change now.
We need to get that changed.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly not against the county. I mean, we're all in this together, but I want what's coming to the city. I mean, I represent
Definitely.
the city, not the county, and I want what's coming to us, because the more money we have to do something with, we can spread it out among other departments as well. And the more roads we can get fixed, the better we're gonna be.
Well, which office would actually effect the change, would make the change from,
Well, if the county
40%?
judge, the quorum court sets the millage by recommendation of the county judge.
Right.
And the county judge nor the county administrator can help us with this. The tax assessor has spent hours trying to find it, along with the tax collector. No, I mean, somebody's got something somewhere that set this 60/40 into place, because the state did not do it.
so if the county judge were to issue an order changing that, would
We'll
that
have to
take
get
care of the
approval from the
situation?
quorum court.
Right.
Yeah. Or the quorum court.
Tax assessor said it should be able to do it without locating that ordinance.
Right, if everybody would assume, take that as the ultimate authority, the quorum court issue an
Well,
order
that's what I
to
was
the judge.
gonna ask Josh.
to-
You can't find that ordinance, what are you gonna do, Josh?
But-
I'm gonna pay you the big bucks.
Right. There's got to be something somewhere, but if we can't, we'll look into what we can do legally to resolve it.
Josh, would that fall under the county, though, and not the city?
Well,
Because-
both the county and the city would have had to have passed.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we have to go back and initiate, wouldn't
Would
that
have to
start?
be, both would have to pass something to change it.
Which that might be a problem.
Thanks for bringing it to the attention of the board.
Yeah.
I was asked how I found this at my school district. The first year, I'm paying my taxes up here in this area, and I go through my stuff pretty with fine tooth comb, and I thought, what are we doing paying 40% in the county? And I had the tax assessor and the actual tax collector in the office, and they said, how did you find that? And I said, well, we were just have to be looking at it, and that's how I found it.
Well, I just assumed that, like, in Fayette County, everybody pays a county tax, right? No?
That if you live in like Stamps, if you live in Bradley, if you live in an incorporated city,
You don't pay a county
you
tax?
don't pay the county portion of road tax. You pay whatever that city council has set up. In Union County, the city council there, because they don't have directors, they have council, and you pay, in El Dorado Central, you pay city tax, you don't pay county tax.
I just assumed everybody countywide paid.
Well, I mean, pretty much not every city resident is going to drive out in the county, but pretty much every county resident is going to drive in the city. So, I mean. but I-
Thank you. We'll continue to look into it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Mr. Ramona Flowers. Ramona?
Mark Towers, 1217 East 24th Street. And I'm here to talk about sewer project. John Hagan, from the Linden Courts apartment complex up above the Linden Street, I think Linden did anyway, I assume that some of the apartments are about having a black backup in their apartment. Somebody comes out, screws the top off of the store outlet, and lets it overflow. I had pictures of it, but I didn't bring them with me. But I've been complaining about this since 2016 with Mr. Tyler. I've gone to the state with it. The state gets on the city, calls him. So this last week, when I finally called them, but I've had a couple of surgeries and been down myself and other things to do besides trying to take care of city business. But anyway, the guys came to my door. They drove 2 big trucks to take care of the overflow. And they told me that, and I don't know why they needed 2 trucks out there at one time. But anyway, they came and told me later that they would be there every week to clean out that trap that goes to the apartment complex. Now I'm hearing, well, they're coming out to do something with the cities, but they're not working with the cities. They're cleaning out the sewer complex from the apartment complex. So I'm ready for something to be done about it. They're telling me they're gonna come out once a week to clean their sewer out from the apartment complex. So if they can do that for the apartment complex, all of the residents of this city should be calling when they have a sewer problem and call the city to come out. I don't like to think that my property tax is going to clean out an apartment complex sewer line.
Ms. Flowers, I have a question for you.
And I am sick. This has been going on 10 years now that this has been going on, and nothing has been done. The state calls the city here, but nothing's done. The state seems like they're not forcing anything to do about it. And I am fed up with their sewer crossing my property. My house next door to me is a rental property. These people that rent don't care. They don't pay any attention to anything. But the lady living there, the sewer had run in her backyard, so place. She couldn't, the stench was so bad that she could not go in her backyard. Well, when we get a big rain, that's washing into my yard too. It'll run long enough that sometime it'll run down the curb, all the way around the corner of my property. Big rain that long, they leave it uncovered.
Understand.
So what's the city gonna do about it?
Tyler, has that complex ever been, has that complex ever been cited?
Yes, they have. So the last time I heard about this was probably a couple years ago. I haven't heard anything about it in quite some.
So the minute I got off the phone with a man in Little Rock, they immediately called you.
I'm sorry, Ms. Flowers, I haven't spoken with anyone at Little Rock.
They called me and to me and showed up at my door, ringing my doorbell. They were there to clean that sewer out.
Okay. Who,
Well, maybe you weren't in the office or something, but somebody
Maybe.
got the word because they showed up at my house about 30 minutes or 45 minutes after I got off the phone with Little Rock.
they may have contacted the water company.
Yeah, they
may-
contact the water company direct. They don't contact the city. They contact
They
TWU.
didn't contact the city.
They contact TWU, that is the city's water company that handles the sewer.
Why would they contact them?
Because that's who comes out and cleans it. That's who manages your
Water
water and sewer, TWU, Texarkana Water Utility.
Company does?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, when this first started, I was calling the water company. And I said, no, I didn't call the city. It's a long time ago, so that's why I called the city.
Well, that would be those people that rang your doorbell were TWU employees. Those are Texarkana Water Utility employees.
They were city employees, I don't know who they were.
Tyler, have y'all had an experience,
Problem needs to be fixed after this many years. I'm tired, sick and tired of it.
I understand.
have y'all had experience with that company, that complex in kind of?
Yes.
It's,
Yeah, it's been years ago since I've dealt with it. But the last time I did deal with it, they had a plumber out there immediately to clear the line. I know TWU's been out there to jet their main. TWU hasn't done any work on their private side, but when they go out there, they may jet their sewer main out by the road. But the last time we were out there, I mean, it's been quite a while back. It's been years ago, but I haven't heard anything about it in the last couple of years.
So I'm sure y'all look into that again, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, we'll check it out.
What,
Well, this sewer line's been down for about 50 years. And that's, the pipes were pumped from digging clay, that's what they were made out of. And back then, not that many people rented. But everybody has to rent now, they can't afford to buy a house, so they have to rent. Well, the rental property is full, and that sewer line is not large enough to take care.
well, is there a
Sewer
represent,
line needs to be replaced.
is there a representative from Linden Courts in the audience tonight, or the owner?
No,
Anybody?
there's not, but I talked to the owner earlier today. He went out there immediately. I haven't talked to him since he went out there, but I'll follow back up with him. He wasn't aware of the issue. It's a new owner. It's not, it's a new owner that owns the apartments over there. It's not the original one that we used to deal with. It used to be Mr. Lyles that you and I used to deal with.
There was an insurance guy that, had it first.
Mr. Lyles.
I called you,
Mhm.
and you called him, he gave you a cussing out every time you called him. Sending paperwork out there to tell him when he get it done. And if he did get it done, it'd be fine. I would think that's the way to do it, shouldn't be long.
That's correct, yes, ma'am. But it is a new owner, and I've spoke with them today. They went out there immediately, but I have not talked to them since they went out there. So I'll follow up with them, and I'll give you a call. I'll follow up with the owner tomorrow and give you a call and let you know something. All right?
Thank you, Ms. Flowers.
Taken care of, I'm just,
Thanks for coming, Ms. Flowers.
Ms. Thornton? Ms. Thornton?
Afternoon to all of you. My name is Celestine Thornton. I spoke with most of you concerning the concern I have as to the reason why I'm before you today, tonight. There are zones in the city, and there are zones for residential, commercial, and others, I suppose. I'm not that familiar with anything in greater detail. But there's an area on Laurel Street that's now been asked to be rezoned to, commercial. It is a residential street, a residential area, and it went before the rezoning commission to have it rezoned to commercial. And I am here, representing that area tonight. I own 3 lots on that street, and I'm interested in it being residential, as I have the possibilities of building residents there so that we can provide homes for people who need housing. So I'm asking you tonight to be, as your prayer stated earlier, to listen, to understand, and be compassionate about my concern. Also, in this area, we have, I'm sure you've heard of Scott Joplin. Scott Joplin attended a school in that area, and his Forest School is also on that street. And there is an effort by a group of individuals now to rehab that school, make it available for some facility and some program to operate out of that building also. Now, they're talking about, I think, the individuals who are asking for the rezoning were asking that the plans were to turn it into a garage. They would put a high fence. Well, if you've been along the state line, you've seen high fences, and that's where the pawn shops are. They're talking about putting a garage. I don't know about that. The planning committee, I guess, takes care of the request of individuals when they offer their plans, but you know as well as I that sometimes plans change. And so therefore, if you ever allow an area to be rezoned that's commercial, you change one to commercial, and then you change another. Of course, this is not your area you live in because it's not your area. But I'm asking you to maintain the zoning of this area as residential and not change it to commercial.
Thank you, Ms. Thornton. Ms. Bursey? Yes,
That's on the agenda tonight.
yes.
Item 6.
Are y'all aware that it is on the agenda tonight?
Ms. Swan.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just saying, if you speak during it's on the agenda, you won't be regulated by time. But if you speak now, you're regulated by time, so.
You have the option to speak now and then, if you'd like.
Well, to clarify, that the only reason she would be allowed to speak then is if the ordinance gets read 3 times prior to it being adopted. So if it doesn't get read 3 times tonight, she would not have anything to say, correct? We only have voice to speak for or against if it makes it all the way to an adoption. It has to be read 3 times tonight to make it, and it may not make it that far. Okay, thank you.
My name is Brenda Bursey, and I have residential property a couple of lots down on the proposed zoning change. I'm here to voice my opposition and my objection to the zoning change. I attended the meeting of the zoning commission to get more specific information on the type of business that was being requested for this change. They just said garage. The requester of the change was not present. His representative was not clear on the type of facility that it would be. I'm sure all of us have garages. What is going to be the purpose of this garage? To fix cars or to store cars? This area is in the downtown gateway, as shown in the master plan, which state that changes would be compatible and complementary to the city and neighborhood. I don't see that garage is. When I asked about the sickness of the building, the commission stated that they were not responsible for what type of building is on there. So how can they make zone changes if they don't know what the request is for what's going to be built on a change zone? And if you watch the video, the vote should have not been passed. It should have failed for a failure of a motion. But the chairman delayed the vote until he looked around and got someone to say something, which shows to me that this was a clear indication of partiality. I don't see that a garage follows the comprehensive plan under the quality of life and image that states that the city will have a strong identity and community pride aided by development that creates attractive community gateway. Under the plan also, under enduring neighborhoods and places, the city states, this is under the city plan, the city will manage growth with respect to the character of the existing neighborhood. And under the vision of your city plan, you have quality of life. I don't see where a garage applies to that. Infrastructure and physical health. I don't see how a garage applies to that. So the board that approved this, the Planning Commission board, is suggesting this change of zoning is stating that a garage, in their view, is a gateway to our new downtown development. This is a legacy neighborhood containing the Orr School, which Mrs. Thorne has stated, which is a designated historical building. It is the desire, as she stated, the community working in collaboration with other entities to restore this building to be a possible future visitor site for the city. The comprehensive plan recommends updates to be made to encourage new housing development in legacy neighborhoods. Are we going to house people in garages? How is a garage complementary to a residential neighborhood? This business purpose is self-serving. It would not serve the neighborhood, and the neighborhood would not receive any business services from it. This rezoning will be between two residential lots, plopping down a new zone in the middle of a neighborhood, disrupting the zoning outlay for the street. The west side of these city lots are already business zoned, which I think the requester already owns property on the west side, and now the city is allowing him to try to invade the next residential street to accommodate this individual. It is a known historical fact that city, state, and federal entities in the past have used eminent domains and laws to acquire lands in marginalized communities and areas to their advantage for highways, railways, and undesirable businesses. There was an article in last week's paper on gentrification. It reads that it is a process that occurs when a neighborhood changes as investment floods into a historically marginalized neighborhood, resulting in rising property values and housing costs, reducing the supply of affordable housing. The neighborhood is physically transformed by the influx of this new construction. The neighborhood demographic shift and the cultural characteristics of the neighborhood changes. There is a need to protect the legacy of the residents and neighborhoods, protect people from being forced to accept changes to benefit individuals and not the neighborhood residents. I do not feel this is best use of this property. Use it for what it is zoned for, affordable housing.
Ms. Percy, I hate to interrupt you, but are you almost finished
Yes.
because your time has expired?
Yes.
Okay.
The comprehensive plan in this infield area recommends updates to be made to encourage new housing development in these legacy neighborhoods. I would rather see housing in the city's gateway than garages or car parking lots. I'd rather see houses next to a historical city visitor site as or school than a fenced-in car lot or garage. Let's try to mitigate residential displacement. I implore you to take this consideration in placing your vote and vote no at this present time for these changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Percy.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's all the requests I have. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board during citizens' communication time? Anyone here wish to address the board? If not, we'll move right on into our presentations. Tonight, we have our Employee Service Awards that'll be presented by our city manager. We have two recipients that I'm told are not present tonight. We have Mr. Kevin Jefferson, TWU for 20 years, and Miss Elnora Payton, TWU for 30 years. So y'all give them a round of applause. Present tonight with us is Mr. Joseph Roberts, TAFD, the fire department for 5 years. And last but not least, our city clerk, Heather Sawyers, 15 years. At this time, we'll move into our consent agenda, which has one item, which is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting November the 18th. What is the desire of the board?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? and the consent agenda passes. Moving right on into our regular agenda, our item number 3 is to adopt a resolution accepting the year-end 2023 audit report. Ms. Laura Callen. And Ms. Cynthia Burns, I would assume.
I actually did not see anything to, in the slides, yeah.
It's underneath you,
Ah,
and if it doesn't work, you can just say next.
okay. We're very happy to be with you this evening. Appreciate the opportunity to do the 2023 audit for the city of Texarkana, Arkansas. Really want to express our appreciation for the finance department and all the staff there and all the hard work they have done to enable us to complete the audit. So we have a fairly short presentation for you. Just items we want to cover here, just the objectives of the audit, the required auditor communications, a few 23 financial highlights, the single audit and state compliance, and then if the board has any questions. So the objective of the audit is to provide an opinion on whether the financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects. We also provide a report on compliance with certain laws and regulations and the internal controls of the city, and then also a report on the compliance for your major federal awards program and the internal controls over that compliance, and then we also issue a report on your compliance with certain state laws. And then the financial statements are the city's responsibility, and so the city has the finance department has provided all the information to be able to do these, the financial statements, and then our responsibility is just to express the opinions of that based on our audit. And then there are some required communications that the auditing standards say that we have to provide to the board. We do not have any significant issues to report on any of these. Then the end result of your audit is your annual comprehensive financial report that is split up into the items on the chart here. And then the parts of the city that are included in this audit, and you have the general fund, public works fund, and ARPA fund. Then the business type activities, which are the Texarkana water utilities, your component unit with the A&P Commission, and then you have a couple of joint ventures that are included, and then your other aggregate remaining information, which includes your pension trust funds and the custodial funds. On your financial highlights, the assets and liabilities both increased. Your deferred inflows and deferred outflows of resources are items that are primarily related to your pensions. And then as you can see on your total net position, the city went from a $25 million to a $33 million overall net position during '23. On the next slide, it just shows you the increase in revenues by the different types of revenue streams, the increases in your different expenses, and then showing an overall in '22 increase in your net position of a little over $10 million, and then in '23 an increase in your net position of approximately $9.5 million. So things are improving each year. One thing I would like to mention on the assets, your capital assets went from $37 million to a little over $40 million, which is a good thing that shows that you are replacing things quicker than things are being depreciated. So that's a good thing to look at to make sure that the board is taking care of the things in the city that need to be taken care of on a regular basis. And then the slide that we generally show every year, which talks about the number of days expenditures that is available in your general fund, unrestricted fund balance. It did drop some this year, but you are still over 40 days above what the GFOA recommended 60 days. So, that's a number that generally kind of goes up and down, but still you're significantly higher than what the GFOA recommends for a city to have. Then in our single audit testing, there were no issues with how the city is spending federal funds. Everything worked out, was there. I think the primary funds that you are spending at the moment is those ARPA funds. And so we did not find any issues there. And then we also do some significant testing to make sure that you are staying in compliance with certain Arkansas state laws, and you were also in compliance there. And then overall, for your audit, the city received a unmodified opinion on your financial statements, which is the best opinion that you can receive. So, if anyone has any questions, I know you've gotten the paper copy of the audit. If there's anything as you're going through there that you would like to, Laura has my email and phone number, and you're welcome to give me a call if there's anything you'd like to discuss further that you haven't looked at this point yet in your meeting.
I don't have any questions, but I would like to say, Laura, what a great job you guys are doing and stepping in and doing role. And I just applaud our accounting department on a great job that y'all continue to do. So I want to thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Cynthia?
Thank you.
If not, I would thank y'all for your report. I'd instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
Whereas the 2023 audit has been prepared by Forvis LLP, and whereas the audit has been reviewed by the Board of Directors, and whereas the city manager and staff recommend approval, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, the 2023 audit is accepted. Passed and approved this third day of December 2024.
City attorney's read the resolution. What's the desire of the board?
Motion to adopt.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, the resolution passes. Moving on to item number 4 is to consider the following action concerning the cleanup of 16 dilapidated nuisance properties. We're going to conduct a public hearing to receive comments regarding certification of certain delinquent taxes, and then adopt a resolution certifying the amount to be put on the tax books as delinquent and collected accordingly. Roger.
These are 16 demolitions that we did that we used CDBG money on, that we have to file liens on.
Does anybody have any questions of
All
Roger?
this was CB, Community Development Block money,
Yes.
no city fund.
No. The ones that we use city funds on, we did not file liens on. That was the desire of the board.
Say it again.
The ones that we did use the city funds on to demolish, we did not file liens on. That was the desire of the board.
Why is that? Like,
Uncollectible.
Uncollectible.
They were deemed
like me,
uncollectible.
that would be just the opposite, wouldn't it?
We're required by.
We're required by law.
By law to
put
file liens
on
with
it. We use
CDBG.
federal money.
Technically, we need to open a public hearing to hear any matters or concerns of these 16 dilapidated properties. Any other discussion during this public hearing? Any other questions for Roger? If not, we would close the public hearing. I would instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
Whereas notice was given pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated section 1454-904 to each of the property owners identified below of a hearing before the Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors to determine the amount of lien, if any, to be placed on the property identified in attached Exhibit A for the expense incurred by the city for removal of structures, from and/or cutting and/or cleaning of such parcel of real property under the provisions of Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1456-201 et sec. And Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1454-901 et sec. And the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Code of Ordinances, including without limitation, Chapter 11, Article 6. And whereas such notice was given pursuant to applicable law, including without limitation, Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1454-901 et sec., more than 30 days prior to the date of the hearing, and stated that the hearing on the matter would be before the City Board of Directors on December 3rd, 2024, commencing at 6:00 p.m. in the Texarkana, Arkansas Municipal Building Boardroom. And whereas a hearing on such claim by the city was held this date pursuant to each said notice and in accordance with the provisions of applicable law, including without limitation, Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1454-901 et sec. And the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Code of Ordinances. And whereas the properties at issue, property owners and lien amounts, with the amount of the lien on each said parcel being the city's incurred expense for such parcel plus 2% penalty as provided by law, including without limitation, Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1454-904, are attached in Exhibit A. And whereas the Board of Directors determined that there should be certified to the Miller County, Arkansas tax collector to be placed on the books as delinquent taxes the amount set forth in Exhibit A for each said parcel of real property. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the amounts set forth in Exhibit A are hereby certified to the tax collector of Miller County, Arkansas, for placement on the tax books as delinquent taxes on the respective parcels of real property identified and described in attached Exhibit A and collected accordingly as provided for by applicable law, including without limitation, Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1454-901 et sec. Pass and approve this third day of December 2024.
The city attorney's read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. The resolution passes. Moving on to item number 5 is consider the following action concerning the cleanup of 59 overgrown properties. Conduct a public hearing to receive comments regarding certification of certain delinquent taxes. Adopt a resolution certifying the amount to be put on the tax books as delinquent and collected accordingly. Roger.
This is 59 weed lots.
We are opening a public hearing. Okay.
This is 59 weed lots that we're bringing to the board for liens on them.
Anybody have any questions during the public hearing? Anyone have any comments? If not, we would instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
Whereas notice was given pursuant to Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1454-904 to the property owners of the properties listed in Exhibit A of a hearing before the Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors to determine the amount of the lien, if any, to be placed on the properties for the expense incurred by the city for removal of overgrowth, trash, and debris from nuisance properties of such parcel of real property under the provisions of Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1456-201 et sec. And Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1454-901 et sec. And the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Code of Ordinances, including without limitation, Chapter 11, Article 6. And whereas such notice was given pursuant to applicable law more than 30 days prior to the date of the hearing, and stated that the hearing on the matter would be before the City Board of Directors on December 3rd, 2024, commencing at 6:00 p.m. in the Texarkana, Arkansas Municipal Building Boardroom. And whereas a hearing on such claim by the city was held this date pursuant to said notice and in accordance with the provisions of applicable law in the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Code of Ordinances. And whereas the properties at issue, property owners and lien amounts, with the amount of the lien on each said parcel being the city's incurred expense for such parcel plus 10% penalty as provided by law, including without limitation, Arkansas Code Annotated Section 1454-904, are listed on Exhibit A attached hereto. And now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the amounts set forth for each piece of property in Exhibit A are hereby certified to the tax collector for Miller County, Arkansas, for placement on the tax books as delinquent taxes on the respective parcels of real property identified and described therein and collected accordingly as provided for by applicable law, including without limitation, Arkansas Code annotated Section 1454901 et sec, pass and approve this third day of December 2024.
City Attorney's read the resolution. What's the desire of the board?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Let's have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Would you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and resolution passes. Moving on to item number 6 is to adopt an ordinance to rezone the property located at 805, 807, 815 Laurel Streets from R4 medium density residential to C3 open display commercial for the purpose of operating an automotive shop as a complement to the property owner's adjacent business. Velvet Cool.
Hello. So this is the property that is at the 805 through 815 Laurel. You can see that we've got Laurel right there. This is the location map. And then you can see what the current zoning is. Bear with me. So right now, the property is zoned residential. It's R4 medium density, and the Planning Commission met, and the desire was that we would allow them to rezone that to C3 open display. And here are some other maps. These are the utility maps that show the location of the water and sewer lines, and this is sort of a street view of what the property looks like right now.
Velvet, what is the existing business that is wanting this rezoned?
There is what type of business?
It's a tri-state auto, it's a car lot.
Okay, he has,
Put in a service bay to work on vehicles.
he has a car lot in the area, and he's wanting to put in a garage to work on the vehicles. And your intention is to just work on the vehicles that are at the car lot? You're not going to be taking in like
Correct.
everyday
It's
customers?
not open to the public, it's strictly for the gentleman's car lot.
On the, there's a piece of property there that would be residential between, I guess it's MLK or 8th Street and this property. Has that property owner expressed any reservations or concerns? Because they would be most affected, I would imagine, being surrounded by commercial.
Before the Planning Commission met, we did not have any opposition given to us. After sending out our letters, we did have some opposition during the meeting, but as far as I can remember, there was no opposition
So
from
that
that.
particular property owner has not expressed any concerns?
I don't believe so.
Well, my concern is, we worked on the comprehensive master plan for over a year. And, I mean, it was to promote neighborhood growth. And, I mean, when you're going in, which I drove by, and I have to agree with Ms. Bursey and Ms. Thornton on this, I mean, you're going in and disrupting what could be. And, I mean, I think there's a place for everything, but that goes back to spot zoning. I just don't like spot zoning. And when the group, I know that what y'all are talking about, to revitalize where the school was, and I mean, I think that could be an asset and a gateway toward downtown Texarkana. And that's just my opinion on it.
What was the vote at the Planning and Zoning Commission?
It was unanimous.
Unanimous?
I think it was 5-2.
There was 2 noes.
There were 2 noes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Any other questions or concerns? Any other comments?
I guess,
Okay.
I know this also saying this is a historic district. Did any of this have to go through the historic district for opinion one way or another?
It did not have to go before the Historic District Commission, and yes, the Orr School is a historic district in and of itself. I believe it was the first historic district in Texarkana, and it consists of, it was created simply for the Orr School.
Any other questions? If not, I remind the board that this is an ordinance to be adopted. It would have to be read 3 times tonight, not necessarily 3 times tonight to be adopted. It has to be read 3 times before adoption. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its first reading tonight?
But I got a question.
Okay.
to ask you. I know you said before it's adoption, it had to be read 3 times, but it had to be read 3 times regardless before you can take action up or down, right? So
It has to be read 3 times to have,
So
and then a
that's-
motion to adopt.
Right, there had to be a motion to adopt one way or another. So-
Or it can die for lack of a second.
Right, yeah.
And that's where we're at right now.
So you gotta be read 3 times.
It has to be read 3 times.
Motion to be read in an abbreviated form, please.
Second.
So there's a motion and a second to have it read on its first reading in abbreviated form. Any other discussion? Would you call the roll?
Hart,
No.
Roberts,
No.
Harris,
I'm gonna say yes to be read, but just not to final vote on. That's one thing.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer.
No.
Joel,
No.
Brown,
Yes. 3, 4. Does not, it's 4-3.
4-3, so you have to read the whole thing.
So the ordinance will not be read on its first reading tonight. It will move to our December.
Mayor?
Yes.
I think I have to read it in its entirety.
Oh, we had a motion to have it read in abbreviated form. Well, we have a motion to have it read on its first reading in abbreviated form. The motion failed to have it read. The abbreviated form is just how it's read.
Read it.
I think, Mayor, I think we changed our rules that the first reading's automatically going to be abbreviated form anyhow. We changed our,
And then suspend the rules.
yeah, I believe we did.
To read it the second
I
time.
believe that it's automatic, the first reading's abbreviated form, if we have a first reading.
But you still have to read it.
we might need to revote.
Hold on.
Because you're
Just let them come.
preparing it for the board, you're proposing it.
But I think it
It
failed
has to be
for,
read.
it didn't,
And then you suspend the rules to put on the second and third reading, or to read it for.
Basically,
He has to read it.
Yes, I believe I have to read it in its entirety, but
I think there was some.
what happens
confusion.
after that?
I think
Because
there
it's
was-
three,
Yeah, I think there was some confusion. People wanted to vote, we should have voted yes to have it read.
In the
And then if
abbreviated.
you wanted to vote no to adopt it, then you could do
Right.
that then.
No,
Would it be appropriate to make a motion to reconsider?
wait, just a minute. It didn't get the required numbers. It failed,
in abbreviated form.
no.
In
We
abbreviated.
we changed our bylaws to, it's just automatic, first reading, to be in abbreviated form.
I don't
It-
think we,
Not that I recall. I've slept since then.
we didn't, we talked about it, but we
It's
didn't.
always been my understanding that the motion, to have the ordinance read, the abbreviated form is just in the manner in which it's read.
That's right.
The actual motion was to have it read on its first reading. It failed.
In abbreviated form.
But the
And-
motion, right, but the motion was in abbreviated form.
It was in abbreviated form,
So there was no motion.
but there's no
to read
motion
it
to
at
have it
all.
read in its
3
entirety.
yes, 4 no.
So it failed.
2 yes.
Anything failed, nothing got a positive. So it failed, whether it's the first reading failed.
He's basically stating that the motion itself is to have it read in abbreviated form, and since that failed, we're going to read it in its entirety.
Yes.
Let's do it.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 is amended and for other purposes. Whereas the application to amend the land use plan was filed with the Planning Commission of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, requesting the following described land located at 805, 807, and 815 Laurel Street be rezoned as applicable from R4 medium-density residential to C3 open display commercial for the purpose of constructing and/or operating on an automotive shop. Lots 2, 3, 4, 5 of Block 8 of the original city containing .629 acres, more or less. Whereas the Planning Commission, after public hearing, has approved said application and recommended that the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas adopt the ordinance affecting said rezoning request. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that Section 1, ordinance number K-286 as amended, should be amended to rezone the above described property in the City of Texarkana, Arkansas from R4 medium-density residential to C3 open display commercial for the purpose of constructing and operating an automotive shop. Section 2, this is solely a rezoning and no other action, conveyance, or release of interest. Pass and approve this third day of December 2024.
The ordinance has been read in its first reading in its entirety. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its second reading?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to have it read in its abbreviated form on its second reading. Yes.
Can I explain something again?
Okay.
That it would take 3 readings, then the third, then after you get 3 readings, then you vote whether to pass it or fail.
Correct.
But if you don't go through the motion, then you're gonna put this to the next board meeting, and you vote no, you're gonna keep putting them till you,
Correct.
till you have 3 meetings.
Correct.
So if you vote yes, then wait till the last board meeting, wait till the last vote on, then you can vote it up or down. So that's,
Typically, if it gets to its third reading, there is either a motion to adopt or not.
right, okay.
If it makes it to its third reading. Technically, it could go 3 meetings before it got read 3 times.
Right.
So we have a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading in abbreviated form. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
You stepped out for a second.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Sure.
I don't agree, but I'll vote yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Move that we suspend the rule and place order on third and final reading.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to have the ordinance placed in abbreviated form on its third reading?
Yes.
All right. In its abbreviated form on its third reading. Is there any other discussion? Would you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
The ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
No.
Where is Terry? Oh, here you go. We have to, if we get a motion to adopt. We got to have a motion and a second to adopt. for it.
Now, if it, I was gonna move not to adopt, but,
That would be voting no,
yeah,
so.
but that may,
But
but
if
that
you do a
may.
motion to adopt and then they call the roll and you're against it, you can say no.
Yeah, but I don't wanna get nobody confused, and I don't wanna stay on the book either, so,
So motion to adopt.
So we have a motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt this particular ordinance, is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Travis Phoenix. Apologize for being a little hoarse tonight, but I represent Bill Duffer, who owns this particular property. He owns Tri-State Auto and is, as you know, wanting to build a shop building to work on the vehicles that will be sold on his car lot. Personally, we believe that this is a very appropriate location to build that. The property just to the left of that is Napa, and it has a commercial zoning, and it's located right next to a bunch of other properties with a commercial zoning. So it's not really spot zoning per se, as someone suggested a little while ago. But it's going to be brand-new construction. I don't know if you've driven down that street and looked, but there has not been much new construction there in decades. So this would be a little bit of economic development that street hasn't seen in a long time, which I think would definitely pass as being, the highest and best use of the property. Properties with structures on them generate a lot more property tax for the city than vacant lots of land.
And could you discuss, there was some discussion evidently about a fence. Is there an
Yeah,
intention to
there-
put a fence up? Is it going to be put up or not
It's-
put up?
Yes, there is going to be an opaque fence, basically to block the visibility of any cars or anything that are on that particular lot from the neighboring properties, as well as add a level of security.
And this will only be used to work on the vehicles he's selling?
That's correct.
It's not a commercial business
It's not
where
open to the
people can
public.
bring and get a brake job or?
That's correct. It's
Okay.
not open to the public. Yeah.
Any questions?
I got a question. So that, but what's in plan said that you can't turn around and make
Do whatever
it
you
that
want.
business?
Well, when you change the zoning, there's no restriction after that. You know, this is strictly
And that's the
to
point.
say that that's the appropriate use of the property or not, and that's what the board should decide tonight, if it's an appropriate use of the property or not.
Any other questions? Thank you. Is there anyone else here? Ms. Percy, do you have anything to add to your additional comments?
I just want to reemphasize, he's saying bringing in business improve. That's what I said on the article, that's gentrification. It's just saying that when businesses come in, they move the residents out. Eventually, that's what happens. Once you start building and changing the zoning, people be moved out.
Any other comments? We have a motion and a second to adopt. Any other comments? Could you call the roll?
Hart,
No.
Roberts,
No.
Harris,
No.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
No.
Jewell,
No.
Brown,
Yes. And the noes have it. Ordinance does not pass. Moving on to item number 7, which is to adopt an ordinance to rezone a rear portion of parcel 00187-100 and 00187-104 located at 4101 East 58th Street from R1 Rural Residential to C3 Open Display Commercial for the purpose of constructing and operating an equipment business. Velvet.
Okay, this is a piece of property along East 58th Street, and they are going to be taking two parcels of land, or one parcel of land and a portion of another parcel, and have asked to rezone that so that they can build a open display commercial project. And the company that is going to be doing this is Huggan Hall. This sort of shows the location of the property. There is the tract. Part of this is already zoned commercial and part of it was not. We're asking that what is not currently zoned C3 be changed to C3. And this is where the water and sewer is. This is where the sort of the street layout. And then this is what their plans for the project are. So they're going to have a loading dock in the back, and they've got some area for future expansion, some wash bays, some fuel stations, proposed staging area, gravel, and the vote on this by the Planning Commission was unanimous.
Any questions?
What was
Yes.
the response from the people that live in that area?
I do not believe that we had any comments.
There was no opposition.
No other questions. I would remind the board, this is an ordinance to pass tonight. It would have to be read 3 times. What would be the desire of the board for the first reading?
First reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
So a motion and second to have the ordinance read in its abbreviated form on its first reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart,
No.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K 286 as amended and for other purposes.
The ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire to have it read on its second reading?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
Have a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading. Any other discussion? Would you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hollabush?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Jewell?
No.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would the desire be to have it read on its third and final reading?
Third reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for its third reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hollabush.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Joel.
No.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be the desire to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Any other discussion? Prior to the board voting to adopt this particular ordinance, is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against? Could you call the roll?
Hart.
Yes.
Excuse me, Roberts.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hollabush.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and the ordinance is adopted. Moving right along to item number 8, which is to adopt an ordinance to rezone the property located at 5813 Mount Olive Drive from C4 Crossroads Business to R2 Single Family Residential for the purpose of expanding the current non-conforming residence.
This is a piece of property that is along Mount Olive. You can see that it's the area in green. Below it is Mount Olive Baptist Church, and then on the other sides are some residences. This is a piece of property that basically sort of got grandfathered in when this property was zoned commercial, but our regulations are such that if they cannot change the footprint of the house unless they get it rezoned, this little area. So that is what they are asking for, is to have this rezoned to R2 Single Family Residential. You can see the water and sewer, and then this is what the home looks like. And they want to add on, it is a daughter who's moved in with her mother, and they want to remodel the house and change the footprint. And this house has been there, the house was actually built before the property was zoned commercial. And so they want to get it rezoned back to residential so that they can make modifications.
So it's residential, then it went commercial, now they're asking to go back to residential.
Basically, yes.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's, as far as the commercial owner is,
See, that's, we have a place in the city where older homes like that were built and then the zoning come into effect and they're
Yes.
actually in C commercial zones, but they're residential.
It's because we went a little far on the
This
business
is,
part.
this is more of a cleanup deal.
Yeah.
Correct.
all right.
Any other questions? I remind the board, this is an ordinance to pass tonight. It would have to be read 3 times. What would be the desire to have it read on its first reading?
Motion first, abbreviated.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for first reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hollabush.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire to have it read on its second reading tonight?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for its second reading, abbreviated form. Could you call the roll?
Hart.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hollabush.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. Desire to have it read on its third and final reading.
Third reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to have it read on its third and final reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hollabush.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. Ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. A motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt this particular ordinance, is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against? Seeing and hearing none, could you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and the ordinance is adopted. Moving right along into our board commentary, is there anyone here wishing to address the board tonight as a board member? Any comments, commentary from board? Not, we move into our city, yes, sir.
Just want to remind the citizens of Ward 4, we're going to have our second ward meeting this year, and the second meeting is December 10th at 5:30. So you have any concerns, bring them to the board, have any ideas that we can help improve the community, bring them to the board, and, bring it to the meeting. The meeting's going to be at the Recreation Center. We're going to post it on Facebook, on the city's web, and so be looking for that. So again, Ward 4, that's from 19th Street to Realtor Road, you're bordered by the east side of State Line and the west side of Jefferson. Thanks, Mayor.
All right. Any other? Tyler?
Just a couple of quick things. We had the Shop with a Cop event this morning, extremely successful. I think we had, 140 kids, roughly? Yeah, so it was great. If y'all have never been, y'all should try to come out next year. It was a great community event there. I'm shooting for the 16th for a budget workshop. I know we're behind. I apologize about that, but we're getting extremely close now. That's what I'm shooting for before our 16th board meeting.
It'd be just right before the board meeting, 4:30
Well,
or something?
I've got, yeah, probably, but I've also got a public facilities board immediately before that meeting to address the TWU bonds that will be on y'all's agenda that night. So I've got to get that worked out. But that's what I'm shooting for. But we'll get in contact with each of you to get something scheduled.
No, we're not planning on voting on it that night, are we?
No, sir. No, that's just the workshop for just an introduction for y'all.
But we would have to have a special call meeting to vote on the budget prior to the end of the year because that's our last meeting.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Any other comments? If not, the board will now adjourn into executive session to consider a resolution appointing someone to the City Beautification Commission and the Historic District Commission. If we could excuse all guests. That was changed.
Call roll, and everybody says no. Oh, I know.
But you have to resend it to the, you have to know what they're voting on.
So they only have to vote the first time.
We red eye?
Oh, are you ready?
Red eye.
Just 1 second, I'm not,
All right.
yes, I'm ready.
I would like to reconvene this meeting back into regular sessions. After an executive session, the board has considered a couple of appointments to our couple of commissions. At this time, I would entertain a motion, and then we would have for a appointment to the City Beautiful Commission, and at that time, we would have our city attorney read a resolution.
I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Velvet Cool to our City Beautiful Commission.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to nominate Velvet Cool. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Whereas a vacancy exists on the City Beautiful Commission, and whereas it is necessary that an appointment be made to fill the position, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the following appointment to the City Beautiful Commission is hereby approved. Applicant Velvet Cool, term, no term, passed and approved this third day of December, 2024.
Congratulations.
Also, the board considered an appointment to the Historic District Commission. The floor is open for nominations for those two.
I make a motion to appoint Jeff Brown to the Historic Commission.
I
second
that.
So I have a motion and a second to appoint Jeff Brown. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Whereas a vacancy exists on the Historic District Commission, and whereas it is necessary that an appointment be made to fill the position, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the following appointment to the Historic District Commission is hereby approved. Applicant Jeff Brown, term January 17, 2023 to 2026, passed and approved this third day of December, 2024.
Congratulations to those two. If no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. Could you call the roll?
Hart,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Jewell,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, we're adjourned.